Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Steggy again, and in today's video, I wanted to just share some of my thoughts on what types of cards I'd like to see for the Disney Lorcana card game. Well, maybe not necessarily cards, but ideas or card types I would like to see. We don't have any concrete information about gameplay or rules, and everything we do know has been educated guesses or hopeful wishes on how the game is played. So the ideas I'm going to talk about are just that, ideas. After Aurora was revealed, we discovered another mechanic, Ward. This got many in the community wondering, what other mechanics or abilities could there be? This got me thinking too. From my extensive background playing many different trading card games, I found several types of cards and abilities and gameplay mechanics I really enjoyed, and I'd like to see some of these ideas transition to the Lorcana card game. I'd just like to say that this is all just whimsical thinking and the opinions of some random guy on the internet. This game is looking to be pretty fun to play regardless of what mechanics appear on the cards. So, the biggest gameplay mechanic or type of card, I suppose, I'd like to see in Lorcana would be location cards. I'd like to be able to play a card like Rapunzel's Tower or Beast's Castle and have an ongoing effect I can use. Maybe Captain Hook's ship, the Jolly Roger, is a location card that gives all of your pirates +2 attack while challenging. Maybe Elsa's Snow Castle can exhaust an additional character, or your opponent's characters enter the game already exhausted. Or maybe something like Pride Rock from the Lion King gives all your animal characters +1 attack and +1 defense. If animal or beast or something like that is a subtype, you get the idea. Locations provide unique ongoing effects that are outside of a character's abilities. This means you could use a card like Dragon's Fire to banish Aurora, Dreaming Guardian, to remove her ward ability, but you couldn't use Dragonfire on a location card to remove it from play since it's a different type of card. You would need a different card to remove the location, or a character that could remove locations when challenging or some sort of effect like that. Locations help decks that might focus around a strategy. There could be a location that grants a small bonus to the attack and defense of your characters, so you can make a deck with a large amount of characters with low costs, like 1, 2, and 3 mostly, and have the goal of overwhelming your opponent with sheer numbers. Your location would bolster your characters to make them even more dangerous to your opponent's characters. On the flip side, locations could help protect your characters against your opponent's effects, or provide a nice small benefit to you as a player. Maybe there's a location that grants your characters ward. Maybe there's a location that removes 1 damage from all of your characters at the end of your turn. Or maybe there's a location that simply allows you to draw an extra card at the start of your turn. There's so many possibilities, and I'd like to see something like locations make its way into the game. Next, I'd like to talk about other character abilities I'd like to see pop up on characters. Aurora's ward effect is really awesome and hopefully shows that there will be other characters with other abilities to help your game plan. Because we are able to challenge our opponent's characters, I'd like to see a mechanic like Hearthstone's Taunt that some characters gain. Taunt would essentially force your opponent to attack the character with Taunt first and defeat it before they would be able to attack any of your other characters. Or maybe instead of something like a card Taunt where your opponent has to attack the creature with this mechanic, maybe we can tone it down a bit and just have an ability called Shield X. Shield would provide a small barrier against damage. If a character had Shield 2, for example, they would take 2 less damage whenever they would take damage. This would make some characters very tanky, which I could easily see in the game. And aside from a lot of raw damage, they would have to be removed with cards like Dragonfire. I would like to see some characters help with resource generation as well. If the resource system does use ink cards, like Magic the Gathering's mana system, or the Bleach trading card game's energy system, having characters grant ink would be really cool. We could have a character card like a magical dancing paintbrush that can exhaust itself to give you 1 ink of any color. This would allow us to play our higher costed cards faster and help get the drop on our opponents with our powerful character bombs. Finally, I'd love to see some sort of card that creates allies or tokens, like the Olaf card we've seen. Maybe there's a Scar character that is able to create a hyena ally whenever he challenges, or a location that spawns a hyena ally once per turn. I think it would be fun to be able to create a small army of allies to help take out your opponent's characters. There are a lot of unique items in the Disney universe. Rapunzel's frying pan, Cinderella's glass slipper, the genie's lamp. I think it would be a shame if these cards didn't make their way into the game. And what better way to include them than as a special item you can attach to your characters. For a few ink resources, you could play an item onto a character to grant them a unique bonus, or something as simple as, an attack or defense boost. Maybe Cinderella's glass slipper lets you avoid fatal damage from a challenge, but you have to discard it after damage. Or Rapunzel's frying pan grants your character +2 attack when they are challenging. Or the genie's lamp lets you draw a card whenever the equipped character challenges. There are so many things you could do with all of the various items in the Disney universe, and I think they would open up unique gameplay possibilities when combined with certain characters. A high defense character could have an item that heals, that could heal them of 1 damage per turn, which would make that character very difficult to take down. That would be fun for you to pull off and frustrating for your opponents to deal with. Also, for fun, I'd like to see a card that has some sort of unique effect that, once satisfied, causes you to win the game. Maybe something like Hades, who sits on the field and accrues tokens as characters are defeated. He can be banished through cards like Dragonfire or challenged by your opponent's characters, so he can be dealt with, but if he's left to do his thing, he can win you the game. More realistically, I do want to see at least one other way to win the game aside from the true main win con, which myself and others believe is by gaining little lore tokens, or gaining more lore tokens than your opponent. Maybe if you're unable to draw a card at the start of your turn, you lose. So milling your opponent's deck, which is forcing them to draw cards, or discarding cards from their deck, until they run out of cards to draw, is a viable strategy. I just don't want to play a game where it's clear I have no chance of winning, via lore generation, and have to just accept my fate. In the Pokemon trading card game, there are 3 ways you can win. You can take all 6 of your prizes, you can knock out all of your opponent's in-game Pokemon if they're less than 6, otherwise you just take 6 prizes anyway. Or, if your opponent runs out of cards and can't draw a card at the start of their next turn. Just having one extra win condition would be nice, so you know that if you're behind in one way to win, you might be able to win with the other condition. And that's it! As I said before, I'm very excited to try out Lorcana and see what cool and unique abilities and mechanics the game has to offer. Let me know what you would like to see in the comments below. Again, I made this for fun while we wait for some new card reveals, and it was a fun thought exercise, much like my previous video on how I think the game is going to be played. That should be it for this video. Make good decisions, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.